What's happening, everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. I hit the notification bell because we go upload every single day. Now, this one is a good one. I really like what we have in tuned for today because we're going to be talking about Judas and the Black Messiah. It's a movie that came out that talks about the final years of Fred Hampton, Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, the last few years of his life, and what Black people can really take away from that movie, right? Like, I think they did a really good job of displaying Fred Hampton in the movie. Be sure to put your hashtag B1s in the chat to let me know that you are here and you are tuned in. Hashtag B1, hashtag B1. So, Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton, for those of you who don't know, like I said, rose to power in the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party and became chairman before his 21st birthday. Like, the man was amazing. And they did a pretty good job. They didn't really dive into the history of Fred Hampton, right? Like, they really stuck to the last few years of his life and the informant that was Bill O'Neal. They really talked about him a lot in that movie, in Judas and the Black Messiah. So here is what Black people should take away from that movie, because it was a really good movie. It actually did. You know, a lot of times when you get these movies put on by Hollywood that portray our Black heroes like Fred Hampton and different people, they don't do it justice. They actually insert a white savior or somebody that like kind of ruins the whole movie, puts a bad taste in your mouth. But they didn't do that with this movie. They kept it real and authentic all the way. And they also talked about the FBI and how messed up that was, but we'll dive into that. So, like, the movie from the very beginning, it shows you the relationship between Black people and white supremacy. Like, for those of you who don't believe white supremacy is real, you might want to leave now, because it is not this is not going to be the conversation for you. This conversation is for the Black people that understand white supremacy is real and that is trying their hardest to combat it. But I want you to see how these images are put in your head and how this system works against you, even to this day in 21, the same as it worked against Fred Hampton in 1969. So the white supremacy first shows up in the movie when they recruit Bill O'Neal, right? The Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party were rising to power. They were teaching people, they were educating people, they were having people with free breakfast programs, and they were doing things in the Black community that a lot of people weren't doing at the time. They were eliminating gangs and educating people on their history and really making sure they had roofs over their head and they had people that looked like them, thought like them, and that were intelligent in their life. And that, obviously, that is like the same as having a Ku Klux Klan or a communist government, because they, for some reason, the FBI happen to think that Fred Hampton, the Black Panther Party, along with all across the country, was going to overtake the government and make it a communist country for whatever reason. Okay, so that was how it starts. So it talks about how they recruited Bill O'Neal. So Bill O'Neal, William O'Neal, he was just a little thug, right? He was stealing cars and doing little stupid stuff or whatever. And so he steals a car, gets caught by the feds. And so to avoid jail time, they give him an offer and say, hey, you have to infiltrate the Black Panther Party. Otherwise, you're going to jail for 10 years for this little petty little crime, little stupid crime. We're going to send you to jail for 10 years. So that's how the start of white supremacy started, right? And so from there, it shows the duration of Will O'Neal rising up the ranks of the Illinois chapter and continuing to make things happen for the chapter, so that way they trust him in feeding the information back to the FBI. See, that's the thing. A lot of people still to this day believe that organizations like the police and the FBI and the government, most of the times, have your best interest at heart. But it has shown throughout the history of America that they don't. Even with Bill O'Neal, he thought that the FBI had his best interest at heart. He thought he was really infiltrating a terrorist organization. And once he got inside, he saw, man, these guys have educational seminars. These guys get gang members off the streets. These guys feed children free breakfast. These guys are really teaching Black people how to arm themselves and educating these Black people and showing them their legal rights. This isn't a terrorist organization. This is nothing like the Ku Klux Klan. This is nothing like communist Germany or Russia. This is nothing like China. This is nothing like Cuba. These guys are actually smart. Like, these people really know what they're doing. And he thought he went in there with that mindset. But to get him to null and void all of that logical thinking that he was starting to have, here's a couple extra bucks, homie. Be quiet. Like, no. They are terrorists. They are bad guys. They do bad things to bad people, to good people. And it's like, no, I mean, he kind of really understood it. And then from the movie, you kind of get it like, man, he gets it. But he's continuing to do this because he's hung up, right? He don't have a choice. He's really caught in the middle of something that's tragic, that's terrible, right? He's caught in this middle, and he can't really do anything else. This COINTELPRO was working against every black leader in the history of our leadership, and that's where we're here today. But we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. So what really got me in this movie is the fact that they actually depict the police shooting Fred, right? I knew that you couldn't tell the story of Fred Hampton without actually showing the police or telling us or allowing us the visual that shows you the feds killed Fred. Now, we all know that this happened and they won in court several years later, like 20 years later. But we all know that the feds killed Fred, right? There was like 100 shots that exchanged the night Fred Hampton died. One came from inside towards the police. The other 99 were from the FBI and Chicago police. Like we all know this. Like so if you don't know this, go look it up. This is known history. This is facts. This is not something I'm just making up. But now here's where we're about to get really deep, guys. White supremacy runs so deep. It runs so deep. And especially during that, and people think it was really just during that time, but it's still during this time. It's just with a different, it comes at a different angle. But think about how deep and how much hatred that the United States government and people like J. Edgar Hoover and white folks at the top of the government really had towards our people. Because think of the title of this movie. It's called Judas and the Black Messiah. One of the things J. Edgar Hoover wanted to prevent from happening was the creation of a black messiah. He didn't want a black person to come to ranks, to rise to the cream of the crop and lead our people out of what was taking place in the 60s. Lead our people in the next movement. Lead our people to become well educated. Lead our people to do what we know, what we are capable of, right? They didn't want that to happen. They wanted what's exactly happening right now, to continue to run in the same cycle, to continue to march, to continue to beg and cry for things that we will probably never get. They wanted to continue the same cycle. This is what they wanted. What's taking place right now is what they wanted. Think about this. J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO, which was the counterintelligence program. This stuff is still on the FBI website. Think about this. The government, the United States government is so bold and hates you so much or hates your people so much that not only was the counterintelligence program ran from 1956 to 1971, well, not only did it have spies on your greatest African-American leaders in the history of this country, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, any person inside the Black Panther Party, any person inside the NAACP, they had this intelligence program. And not only is it not taught to you, not only is that information withheld from you, but it's actually still posted on the FBI website. Don't believe me? Okay, you don't have to. I mean, the FBI COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover, there's been movies about him. There's been books written about him. This man is literally praised. This man is literally praised within the American society. And I'm about to share my screen and show you that to this day, COINTELPRO and the records of the COINTELPRO still exist on the Federal Bureau of Investigation's official website. This is the FBI official website. There is a statement here. This is, look, vault, FBI.gov. All legit. This is not something I'm making up. Let's read it. Let's read it together. It says COINTELPRO, the FBI began COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program, in 1956 to disrupt the activities of the Communist Party of the United States. In the 1960s, it was expanded to include a number of domestic groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, the Socialist Workers' Party, and the Black Panther Party. That is not all it included. It included the Nation of Islam as well. It included the nonviolence organizers as well, like Martin Luther King. It didn't. They're lying to you when they say this is all that they included. Those are just the big groups that we can name, but they didn't put in the Nation of Islam. They had wiretaps on them as well. Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, all your favorite leaders in the Nation of Islam. So don't let that fool you because they're not telling the full truth. Although limited in scope, also not true. It's not true at all. Limited in scope, that's a damn lie. About 0.2% of the FBI's workload over a 15-year period. Once again, I don't believe that neither, but hey, it is what it is. COINTELPRO was later rightfully criticized by Congress and the American people for abridging the First Amendment rights for other reasons. Now look at these groups. Now you can literally go in here and click on these groups and see the documents that were written about said people. There is a category for what they call black extremists. There is literally a category where they call them black extremists. And when we go into the black extremist category, over the 15-year period, there are 23 separate, what I would call journal entries or documents, because in each one of these 23 entries, there's hundreds of pages. There's a whole bunch of pages. So it's not like 23 pages for 23 entries. There's like literally a number of pages per entry. This is still on the official FBI records. This is still on the official Federal Bureau of Investigation's official website. This still, like, you can go on here just like me and find this and read about COINTELPRO. Now listen, think about what it says again. Let's read that last part. It says COINTELPRO was later rightfully criticized by Congress and the American people for abridging the First Amendment for among other reasons. So it was rightfully criticized. It shouldn't have been criticized. These people should have went to jail. These people should have went to jail. These people should not be praised, should not have movies about them. We should not be learning about them in our history books. These people were criminals. They spied on your favorite leaders. They did everything in their power to prevent you from rising to power. Because guess what? The fight against white supremacy is just that. It's a war. And what happens in war? Bloodshed. They literally killed our leaders. This is not something I'm making up. They're telling you. Like they're literally telling you that they killed your leaders. They killed off your leaders to keep them quiet, to keep you quiet, and to keep you at the basement, at the bottom. It is a war against white supremacy. It's not just, a pillow fight. This stuff literally happened. And I'm sure it happened for longer than the 15 years. COINTELPRO, as the name, the counterintelligence program, might only lasted 15 years. But what came after that? It was a number of things that came after that. I mean, a number of things, whether it was the war on drugs, what was the mass incarceration, what is the crime bill? All of that stems back from COINTELPRO, from taking out your black leaders, therefore taking out the masses. This is not by accident, guys. This is not by accident at all. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. So let's read that one more time. What was the purpose of COINTELPRO? Let's read it one more time. It was to disrupt it was to disrupt the activities of the Communist Party in Communist Party in the United States. What do the Black Panthers have to do with the Communist Party? What does Martin Luther King have to do with the Communist Party? What does Malcolm X have to do and the Nation of Islam have to do with the Communist Party? I can tell you what it has to do. It's because a lot of now I'm not going to lie, a lot of your black leaders from the 60s and the 50s and 60s, they had a lot of socialist beliefs. They didn't want in their mind, because black people never really owned much of nothing, right? Like for a long time, you were 3/5 of a person. You wasn't even really established as a full person 2 years later, right? So in their mind, they wanted the playing field even. There was the integrationists, the people wanted social integration, stuff like that. But a lot of your leaders, they weren't really crazy about social integration. They just wanted everybody to have a chance to eat, right? Like they just wanted their chance to eat, and not for you to take it away from them, right? I don't care how you get yours. Just allow me to get mine, and don't come burn mine down or shoot mine up or set mine on fire. How about that? How about you just don't do that? And I think I'll be fine. That's what a lot of them did, right? So think about this. The counterintelligence program was to prevent the rise of the Black Messiah. That was J. Edgar Hoover's whole thing, right? And think about it. If you really think about it, J. Edgar Hoover won, guys. He actually won. What do I mean by that? He won. If his whole goal was to prevent the rise of the Black Messiah, did he not win? What do you mean, Jeff? He won. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, because we're about to dive into this. Why did he not win? Think about it. Malcolm X, dead, 1965. They tried to blame the Nation of Islam. They just came out like last month and said, no, it was actually the FBI. But we already knew that. We already knew it was the government that killed Malcolm X. Died, 1965. Martin Luther King, dead, 1968, April 14th. He was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. Medgar Evers, dead, 1963. He was assassinated June 12th. Fred Hampton, dead, 1969. He was assassinated December 4th. As we just stated, 100 bullets came into his house, and they killed him while the man was asleep. Huey Newton, they tried to send him to prison. They sent him to prison in 1967 because they tried to kill him, assassinate him in 1967 with the police shooting, and somehow he came out of that. But that's all of that happened. J. Edgar Hoover won, guys, because from that, your leaders were killed and their movements were killed after that. People were satisfied while being able to go to school with white folks. They stopped fighting for what they wanted, which was wealth, which was economics, which was education. And instead, you were happy with just going to school with Billy Bob. You were satisfied with that. And your movements died with your leaders. You cut off the head of the snake, the body dies. The masses die. And that's what happened to our people. I'm telling you, I don't have to make it up. He actually won. Think about it. We're fighting and marching and being upset about the same things we were being upset by in the 60s. And think about it. If COINTELPRO lasted until 1971, your leaders all died in the 60s. All of them died before 71. I got 65, 68, 63, 69. And 67 is when they sent Huey away. They all died before 71. This literally happened to your leaders, to our people. So now it is up to you to realize the government is not your friend. That you have to understand, like the sooner that you understand this, the sooner that Black people understand that the government is not your friend and that you have to self-educate. They're never going to teach you. This is not education you're going to find in public schools and private schools. You're not going to find white folks teaching you that they killed your leaders, that they actually murdered your leaders, that they wanted to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. And that's why I was so shocked that they actually showed that in a movie made in Hollywood. I mean, if we're being real, like, so let's, and then I failed to mention Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, and Eldridge Cleaver had to flee the country. James Baldwin had to flee the country. These were your Black leaders. These were the people that were going to rise. These were the people that were the cream of the crop. These folks are not your friends, guys. These folks, and so think about this. So they've rightfully criticized. That's all. None of these people went to jail. None of these people's names are banished in U.S. history. None of these people are looked at as crooks or the spawn of Satan or any of that thing, right? What does J. Edgar Hoover get? Because he is the one who created this counterintelligence program. What does he get? What does J. Edgar Hoover get for being the one who should be rightfully criticized because he is the one that took out all your leaders, right? I'm going to show you what J. Edgar Hoover gets. I'm going to show you what J. Edgar Hoover gets. We're going to look up the J. Edgar Hoover building, right? And I'm going to show you what he gets, because this is what he gets for being the one that took out all of your leaders and all of our people and sending them to their early burials. The J. Edgar Hoover building is a low-rise office building located in Washington, D.C. in the United States. It is the headquarters for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It is the headquarters of the FBI. So what does J. Edgar Hoover get for killing off your leaders? For sending some of our greatest minds to an early burial? He gets the FBI building named after him in the nation's capital. That's what J. Edgar Hoover gets. Instead of being tarnished and his name's being erased from the realms of history, except for being the bad person that he was, the criminal, the devil that he was, he gets the FBI building named after him. That's what J. Edgar Hoover gets. That's what the same person that created that counterintelligence program that led to the deaths of some of our greatest minds, our greatest leaders that stopped our initial movement. That's what J. Edgar Hoover gets. He gets the FBI building named after him. Remember, let's run through those names again. Malcolm died in 65. Martin died in 68. Medgar Evers died in 63. Fred Hampton died in 69. Huey Newton was sent to prison in 67. And Stokely Carmichael and a.k.a. Kwame Ture and Eldridge Cleaver and James Baldwin all had to flee the country. All because of this counterintelligence program. And the man who created it, that's been rightfully criticized, gets the FBI building named after him. That's what he gets. That's what the government thinks of you. That's what the government thinks of us. That's what the government thinks of our people. They think we're so stupid that we'd be okay with a federal building, the FBI building, being named after a spawn of Satan. White supremacists in human form. White supremacy in human form was J. Edgar Hoover. We cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore that at all. We cannot ignore that at all. I mean, that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes. So now, once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Like, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Now, what I'm going to play for you is a speech by Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, I know Minister Louis Farrakhan, just saying his name might get us banned. I don't know. I hope not. I pray that the internet gods don't take us off for speaking his name, but he is someone that is a real leader in our community. Louis Farrakhan is someone that the world, that the internet, that the liberal media wants you to believe is just this horrible Satan devilistic person, but wants you to believe that J. Edgar Hoover was a great person, a great man, but Louis Farrakhan is horrible. Minister Louis Farrakhan is the devil. That Minister Louis Farrakhan is someone that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, right? Like, they want you to believe that, but put J. Edgar Hoover on the pedestal, but put someone like Joe Biden on the pedestal. That, to me, is some of the most mind-blowing, bait and switch, crazy white supremacist tactics I've ever heard in my life. But Mr. Louis Farrakhan actually did a sermon about this probably 30 years ago, about the counterintelligence program and the rise of the Black Messiah. And I'm going to play a snippet of his speech because it was that powerful. It is that powerful. Minister Louis Farrakhan's speech, and I'm going to play it, and hopefully you can hear it. Let me know if you can hear it, and if you leave it in the chat if you can hear it, because if you can't, that's going to be a problem. So this was a scene from the movie. It was talking about our counterintelligence program is to prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. And after this, you're going to see a clip of Minister Louis Farrakhan. It was posted by Rizza Islam, and I really enjoy Rizza Islam on Instagram because he's a great person.
Program must prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. That's what the counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover and the government of the United States was all about. But wait a minute, J. Edgar. Why do you want to stop the birth of a Messiah? Why would you use a religious term? It's because they knew that the Messiah was to come up among you. They knew that the Jesus you would be looking for would be one of your own people.
Now think about what I'm going to play this one more time, and I want you to really dive into what Farrakhan is saying. Really think, ingest what he is saying, because it is some good stuff.
Our counterintelligence program must prevent the rise of a Black Messiah. That's what the counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover and the government of the United States was all about. But wait a minute, J. Edgar. Why do you want to stop the birth of a Messiah? Why would you use a religious term? It's because they knew that the Messiah was to come up among you. They knew that the Jesus you would be looking for would be one of your own people.
And that, I feel so touched, and I feel like that speech is so powerful, right? We can learn so much about what he's saying. He's saying that the person that you're looking for to save you and to save your race and to save your people, it's not among Joe Biden. It's not among Donald Trump or J. Edgar Hoover or any of these politicians or whatever. That person is within you. That person that's going to lead you to the promised land looks like you. It don't look like them. It doesn't look like them, and he's not ever going to look like them and ever come from them. It's always going to come from you. And here is why. And that is why they work so hard to prevent what took place. That is why they worked so hard to prevent the rise of a black messiah, because the white supremacists in the 60s and the white supremacists in 21 understand that only black people can save black people. Once black people really become woke, not this fake woke, this fake liberal woke that tries to make things that aren't real. No, real woke, and understand that, if I listen to my black leaders and not try to cope so much for the white man, I can actually make progress. I won't be running the same race I've been running since at least 1965, right? Let's just say 1965 is when the Civil Rights Act passed. And since 65, the same things have been happening. Since 56, since the counterintelligence program was created, black leaders that I mentioned earlier and that I failed to mention have been killed by this same government that you are expecting to bail you out. Trump's not going to do it. Biden's not going to do it. For those of you that say, oh, and that's what kills me, right? Because they know that as soon as you wake up, change will actually take place. But there's people that'll tell you on television, or that'll tell you on the internet, or that'll tell you anywhere that you'll listen, that things can't actually happen for black people. Legislation can't be passed for black people. That executive orders can't be signed strictly for black people. Well, why in the hell not? We have a history of legislation being passed just for black people. Whether it was that 65 Act that I talked about, whether it was actually making us a human being, or, I don't know, getting us out of slavery, these actual acts were taking place. You were guaranteed 40 acres and a mule. That's why we're calling for reparations now. That's why we've been calling it for 200 years. It's not something we're asking for. This is something we're owed. This is a debt we're owed. And we've been owed for years, for centuries. But there's black people that'll actually feed to you that you don't deserve that. Or no, you shouldn't demand something for your vote. Or no, you shouldn't demand something out of your politicians that you put in office and that they will admit you put in office, whether you're from Philly or Milwaukee or Atlanta or Georgia or all across this country. When 90% of your people voted for one person, they will admit to you that you helped them get to where they're at. And then as soon as you come demanding, it's too late. You already put them there. You already gave them the power. You can't demand something from somebody after you put them in power. You make an agreement before you get them there. And then once they get there, that's when it'll happen. Because guess what? If they don't agree to what you said before you put them in power, you don't put them in fucking power. You don't put them in power. Like, it's that simple. It is that simple. Real leaders are telling you what you cannot do and not what you can. Like they're not telling you what you can do. The leaders that are supposed to be the so-called leaders of the black party right now, of the mainstream black class right now, are too busy telling you what you can't do and not what you can do. They're telling you that you can't get legislation. They're telling you that you can't get executive orders. They're telling you that you can't do all of this stuff. We got to be a multicultural, or we have to be with minorities, or we have to be, hell no. Because we've been doing that since at least the 60s. And look what it's gotten us. It has not gotten us anywhere. It got us a black president. Oh, clap it up. Clap it the hell up for Barack Obama. Clap it up. But even he, no offense to Obama, but even he was a puppet. He was just a puppet. Because who was his vice president? The same person that created the crime bill was the man's vice president and is now the current president of the United States. They use so many scare tactics to tell us that Donald Trump and the Trump administration was going to kill us all off. And the Trump administration was going to put us all in chains. And then the Trump administration was going to have the Proud Boys storming down your house, running in your house and shooting you and your family up. And none of that was true. None of that happened. Trump was in office for 4 years. And the most damage I guess he ever did was after he lost the election and they stormed the Capitol. Well, last time I checked, it ain't too many black folks residing in the Capitol. Last time I checked, the Proud Boys stormed the Capitol, and they ain't stormed, the south side of Chicago. I mean, I'm just being honest. That isn't happening. People acting like quid pro quo does not exist. And they're like, Jeff, what is quid pro quo? I'm gonna break it down to you. Quid pro quo is when you get a favor for a favor. Let's look up the definition. This is a definition. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson, because this is something that he preaches profusely. And folks act like they don't understand that he's alive, that he's around. Quid pro quo. What is quid pro quo? Quid pro quo. Q-U-I-D, pro, P-R-O-Q-U-O. A favor or advantage granted or expected in return for something. That's what your vote should be. A favor or advantage granted or expected in return for something. A favor or advantage granted or expected in return for something. You should not just be giving up your vote. If they tell you like these are the quotes that people say, your ancestors died for you to vote, which is not true. Your ancestors didn't die for you to vote. They were killed because they couldn't vote, or they tried to vote and they were killed. So I would believe if your ancestors who were killed trying to vote, trying to make voting happen, would think that you would be smart enough, someone who is free, that is allowed to vote without any hesitation, would take advantage of said vote. A favor or advantage granted or expected in return for something. I can guarantee you those same ancestors that were killed in the 50s or the 60s would want you to actually get something in return for your vote and not empty promises. Get something up front. Because guess what? If you don't deliver, you're not getting my vote. They can deliver for everyone else. They can deliver for other organizations and other groups and other ethnicities and get reparations and get land and get executive orders and get whatever they want. But when it comes to us, some reason it's but. It's like, we can't exactly do that. And they'll put black people that look like us, to get in front of a computer screen, a TV screen, a camera, and tell you that. And that is insanity to me. Why can't I get quid pro quo for my vote? Why can't you give me something for what I deserve? That's what Fred was fighting for. That's what your leaders, your black messiahs, were fighting for. They weren't fighting for just to say, oh, they always love to play the I Have a Dream speech. Well, they didn't kill Martin after the I Have a Dream speech. They killed Martin when he said, we coming to collect our check. They killed MLK after he was going to boycott Coca-Cola. That's when they killed MLK. They didn't kill him after I Have a Dream, because I Have a Dream sounds good. And it gets played every year on on Martin Luther King Day, because it sounds good. Because it's suitable. They're not going to play we're here to collect our check on MLK Day. They're not going to play that, because then people will be like, damn, I guess we do have a check we have yet to cash. I guess we do have a check we have yet to collect. I guess we do have a check. What is that check he was talking about? Like, folks, it's really going to wake up and be like, damn, what was that check Martin was talking about? This is one of our greatest leaders in American history. What is that check he's talking about? And there's going to be some uncomfortable questions being asked to some people that don't have any answers. Any black person that's teaching you any differently is a traitor. Any black person that is teaching you shouldn't go collect what you deserve is a traitor. They are a Bill O'Neill. There are a William O'Neill. And there's a lot of William O'Neills out here, guys. There's a whole lot of William O'Neills out here, and not enough Fred Hamptons. Not enough people that are willing to put it on the line. Not enough people that are willing to sacrifice and really teach you about your history and willing to teach you about what is rightfully owed to you. So a whole lot of Bill O'Neills. Because think about this. So Bill O'Neill, if you watch the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, Bill O'Neill, the final straw, because Fred was actually about to go to jail. And they actually depict that in the movie. Fred was about to go to jail for stealing 70. They said the man stole $70 worth of ice cream, right? So they were going to send him off to jail. But that wasn't good enough. White supremacy, that's the thing. That's the thing about white supremacy. It's not good enough with just smack you in the face or whatever. They're trying to kill us with sledgehammers. They're acting like we're cockroaches and trying to kill us with a damn sledgehammer. And so it wasn't good enough to just send Fred to jail. Watch the movie. It's not nothing. I mean, I hope it's a spoiler alert for those who don't know the history of Fred Hampton. He dies in the end. But it wasn't good enough to just send the man to jail. So they get Bill O'Neill, him and the white FBI agent, I can't even remember his name. Him and the white FBI agent go out to dinner. Get the steak dinner in front of him, do all this stuff. And they're like, okay, Bill, write Fred's apartment, write his layout of his apartment, write it on this napkin. And they're like, what? Write it on this napkin? And Bill's starting to realize, oh snap, they about to kill this man, because Fred's about to go to jail like next week, but that ain't good enough. So they about to actually kill him. It's like, yeah, write the layout of his apartment on this napkin. And what did they give Bill O'Neill for essentially hanging Fred Hampton out to dry, for getting Fred Hampton assassinated. He got like $300, $200, something like that. They lure in really smart people. Bill O'Neal was probably a smart man. Let's be honest. He probably was a smart man. But to get him to turn on his own brother, to get him to turn on one of our greatest leaders of our generation at age 21, to get him to turn on what could potentially have been our Black Messiah, they gave him $200. Fred Hampton's life and the lives of many others after Fred Hampton, because it's bigger than just Fred Hampton. It goes way bigger than Fred Hampton. Killing off the leaders, you kill off a movement when you kill the leader. You cut off the head of a snake, the body dies. So for Fred Hampton's life was worth $200, not only to Bill O'Neal, but to the white folks, to the FBI. Fred Hampton's life was worth $200. So think about those Bill O'Neals that get in front of their camera, that get in front of the TV screen, that get in front of whoever and tell a bunch of black folks their stuff, that you shouldn't do quid pro quo, and that your vote doesn't matter, and that you shouldn't be expecting legislation specifically for you. What do they give them? They give them monetary value. They give them jobs. They give them money. The same thing they did with Bill O'Neal. They gave him $200 to give up Fred Hampton and to kill a movement. And so those same people that get in front of you and tell you shouldn't expect anything from anybody, from your politicians, from your people in government, they give them monetary values to kill you off, to silence you, to get you to be quiet, to stop your movement. It's the same thing. They did this to Fred in the 60s. They're doing it to you in 2021. It's no different. There's no difference. There's absolutely no difference. The only difference is they have social media and big time televisions and big time networks like CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and CNBC and all these different outlets to get to you, to get to your mind, the media to control your mind and tell you that you shouldn't expect anything from your politicians, that you shouldn't expect anything, even though you put these people in office, that you shouldn't be allowed to hold these people accountable. And I'm going to get some black folks like Bill O'Neal's. I'm going to get a bunch of Bill O'Neal's in front of their cameras and tell you the exact same thing. And just like they gave Bill O'Neal $200, I might give these folks $200,000. I might give them $2 million. I might give them $20 million. It doesn't matter, because that's how much your life and your voice is worth to me. It's not worth anything. I can get rid of it just like that. I mean, this movie really literally dives into all of this. This movie could have been made in 2021. These scenes could have been made into 2021. I mean, and it's not just like some people might think I'm just harping on like Democratic people. Like, but no, it's not just Democrats that'll do this, but there's Republicans, and this is how they do it. They give these people, like you said, I heard somebody say 3 pieces of silver. Absolutely. So they give these people 3 pieces of silver, technically, right? Like, so they say they give them 3 pieces of silver. And what they do is, like I said, they tell you have the people with what's considered the conservative values of the Republicans, right? They get called coons and all kinds of stuff, right? And here's why. Because you trot these people out and put them on mainstream platforms, you post their stuff, boost it up, get them millions and millions of views, and you get people like Candace Owens. They sound like she hates black people. There was a man I was watching on Instagram. He was talking about how he was like, man, I don't know about all of y'all. He has a huge following. He gets millions of views. And I can't even think of his name. I don't even want to say his name. But he was saying, like, there's a lot of y'all people that out here saying y'all black and then y'all Republican, or y'all black and then y'all conservative. He said, nah, I'm just a conservative that happens to be black. I had to laugh. This man literally said, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a so-and-so that just happened to be black. So basically, I don't give a damn what happens to black people. Like, this came out of this man's mouth. I wish I could find it. I can't even think of his name. But I heard that and I was like, oh my God. But there is a man, he's out here getting all of these views and getting all these pats on the back by all these white folks because people actually believe that. And they trot him out there to get you to believe that. And they trot out the Democrats. They're not innocent either, because they trot out what we call Negro naysayers, and they tell you the same thing just on the liberal side. You should care more about homophobia and transphobia and all of this stuff. Instead, like your issues will come at some point, but we got to make sure they ain't beating up Asians, or they're not killing trans people, or that they're not being homophobic. It's like, I mean, no, that's not good neither. But I've been suffering. My people have been suffering for over 400 years. My people have been marching and suffering for over 400 years. There were specific government-funded organizations and things in place to put my people at the bottom of the totem pole for 400 years, dating back to when we were 3/5 of a person. Whether it was the crack epidemic, mass incarceration, redlining, COINTELPRO, all of these things were stopped, not to stop gay people. They weren't things to create, not to stop trans people. They weren't things that were created not to stop Asians or Middle Easterners or whoever. They were stopped for the people that look like me. So, I'm not insensitive when I say my people come first. I'm not insensitive when I say I'm B1. I'm not insensitive when I say, no. We need to be at the front of the line. Because last time I checked, when Joe Biden was giving all these thanks and praises for winning the election, he didn't say thank you to the gay people that put me in office. He wasn't saying thank you to the trans people that will put me in office. He didn't say thank you to the Asians or the Mexicans or the whoever that put me in office. He said the African Americans. So in my mind, he said the black people. Thank you to the black people that put me in office. So therefore, all the thanks is cool. All of that's cool. Real, clap it up. Thank you, whatever. But now I need action. Now I need policy. Now I need legislation. Now I need something. Now I need the quid pro quo in return for putting you in office. And I don't think that's insanity to ask for. I don't know. Damn, asking for it. I don't think it's insanity to demand. But instead, all I get is a study for reparations. All I get is a study for reparations. That's all I get. I get a thank you and inauguration day, and I get a study for reparations. I mean, that is incredible. That is incredible. So, what I said earlier, I said that J. Edgar Hoover, he won. When he created his counterintelligence program, J. Edgar Hoover, wherever the hell he's at, laying down, probably burning in hell somewhere. I mean, I don't know. But wherever he's at, he's smiling because he actually won. That counterintelligence program that was created in 1956. 1956. It's over half a century ago. 1956. It's over 60 years ago at this point. 1956, he created the counterintelligence program to prevent the rise of a black messiah and to prevent black people from actually being educated and actually realizing that there's more power in their vote and their voice than they can even ever imagine. There's more power in our vote and our voice than we could ever imagine. Especially at that time in 1956, he wanted to prevent anything that could happen. And he actually won because they killed off your leaders and they killed off your movement. Black people had more wealth back then than they have now. Black people owned more land back then than they do now. Black people, in a lot of instances, were better off then, might sound crazy, than they are now. So he won. He actually won. And in response, he got a building named after him in the nation's capital, right? He got a building named after him in the nation's capital, the FBI building. He has a building, the FBI building, named after him in the nation's capital. And we have our own organizations, Black Lives Matter, with $90 million that ain't giving a dime to our people. So he won, but he won the battle. I genuinely believe this. He won the battle. He didn't win the war. It's not over. It's not over because we have too many well-educated black people that are out here passing the message, the real message, the ones, and there's people like you that are currently watching. You wouldn't be watching this if you didn't believe this, that are currently watching that know we're not done. We're not done. We are not done. Yeah, we got the hell beat out of us for 60, 70 years. If we're just taking it from 65. But in 21, I see the rising. I see the change of the tide. Dr. Claude Anderson has been on major platforms. Dr. Claude Anderson is spewing the powernomics rhetoric. People are really understanding like, damn, I do deserve something for my vote. Damn, there should be more economics in my community. Damn, I'm learning about the stock market. I'm learning about how to build wealth. I'm learning how to do this. I'm learning that you can be educated outside of college. I'm learning that you can actually be rich without getting a degree. I'm learning this. I'm learning that. I'm self-educating. The internet is a beautiful place because it allows people like you and people like me to really educate ourselves without having to go to a 4-year institution, without getting $100,000 in debt, without X, Y, and Z. And that same knowledge we're able to pass to our children, who are then able to pass to their grandchildren. We're starting businesses. We're doing these things. We're finally realizing that we can actually do these things and not have to beg and plead for a job, or not have to beg and plead a white man to get us somewhere. We're finding this out, and we're having the new age of the new Black messiahs, the new Black movement that is teaching us how to do this, that's telling us that we're able to do this, that are telling us that we're able to make this happen. The people like Dr. Claude Anderson, the people like Dr. Boyce Watkins, the people like Ice Cube, Tariq Nasheed, Vicky Diller, Jade Arendelle, Chanel Walker, Mosh Teray. These people are leading us in the right direction. These guys, these people are leading us where we need to go. So yes, J. Edgar Hoover won the battle. He won the battle. We got derailed. He killed our leaders and we got derailed. And that's fine. Sometimes you get hit in the face. Guess what? You spit out the blood, wipe yourself off, and you get ready to go back to back. Because this is a war, guys. And in war, you don't just shoot at somebody and think they just gonna be cool. Guess what the hell they do? They shoot the hell back. And guess what? For a long time, white supremacy was shooting at us, killing our leaders, literally, not hypothetically. They were literally killing our leaders, and we wasn't shooting back. But guess what? We got guns on our side too, and we're shooting the hell back. And now they're trying different tactics to make sure you can't do that. They're making illegal immigrants legal, therefore your vote is dwindled. They're doing all kinds of just white supremacist style things to keep your vote from not mattering. But guess what? We're shooting back, guys. Yes, the fight is still ongoing. J. Edgar Hoover won. He won the battle. He did not win the war. And I honestly believe that. I'm going to finish it by saying this, because it's a quote from Martin Luther King. J. Edgar Hoover won the battle. He did not win the war. And Martin put it like this. And Martin knew his time. He was on, you know what I'm saying? Once he got into what he was really getting into, he knew that there was a timetable on his life. It was a ticking time bomb. It wasn't much time left. And this is when he gave this famous speech. He says, I may not get there with you, but I want you tonight to know that we as a people will get to the promised land. He said, I may not get there with you, but we will get to the promised land. I may not get there with you, but we will get to the promised land. And I honestly believe that about our people. We have too many rising minds that are influencing people all across this nation. People that look like me and you. I may not get there with you, but we'll get to the promised land. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's what Judas and the Black Messiah taught me. Leave in the comments what it taught you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys.